Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. We welcome all of you to our Srimad Bhagavatam class. We are reading and discussing the first chapter, first verse. And last time we spoke on the Om Namo Bhagavate Vāsudevāya and the first word, janmādy, asya, yathā. So now we will discuss the remaining important points in this first shloka of Srimad Bhagavatam. So like this, there are 18,000 verses. And if we take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that we will attain spiritual perfection. So I will chant the verse again. Om Namo Bhagavate Vāsudevāya janmādasya yato nvayād itarataś cārtheṣv svarāṭ tene brahma ādi-kavaye muhyanti sūrayaḥ tejo-vāri-mṛdāṁ yathā vinimayo yatra tri-sargo dhamna svena sada nirasta-kuhakaṁ satyam param dhīmai. So in this verse, which is the first verse of the 18,000 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, we are being introduced to the absolute truth. And last time we discussed the importance of Om Namo Bhagavate Vāsudevāya. And we also discussed how the Supreme Lord is being introduced as janmādy asya. He is the person from whom everything is coming. He is the source of everything. And now we will go ahead. Janmādy asya yato nvayād itarataś cārtheṣv abhijñaḥ. This is one point, which means basically is the personality who is cārtheṣv abhijñaḥ, is directly and indirectly conscious of everything. So remember, the first quality of absolute truth being described here is Om Namo Bhagavate Vāsudevāya, which means he is a person, he has a form, and he is the son of Vasudeva and is the Supreme Lord. That is the first point. Second, he is the cause of everything. He is the cause of creation, sustenance, and destruction. That is janmādy asya. And the third, which we are discussing right now, is itarataś cārtheṣv abhijñaḥ, which means he is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations. Krishna, or absolute truth, who is Vasudeva, son of Vasudeva, directly and indirectly knows everything that is happening everywhere. Srila Prabhupada would give a simple example. You may have a small piece of land and you may know what is happening in your farm. It is your farm. But the king, all the land belongs to the king. The king knows what is happening in all the land. Similarly, I may know what is happening in my body, but the king or the Supreme Lord, he knows what is happening in all bodies. So because he is like the Supreme Lord, he knows everything. So therefore, this is very perfectly applicable for him. He is directly and indirectly conscious. He has awareness. We are told, practice awareness. Separate yourself from your body, mind, and see your life, and you become conscious, you become aware. But the Supreme Lord, he is aware of everybody. He is aware of everything. That is the difference between absolute truth and all of us. So this is one of the very, very important and beginning points of Srimad Bhagavatam. That is awareness. One of the most important things in spiritual life is to have awareness. We all know many things. We don't know some things. But when we are aware of our awareness, when we know our knowing, then we are actually making advancement. For example, you may be angry on someone, and you may get angry and you may express that anger. And you get angry, you shout at that person, and then that person talks to you, so that anger episode is over. But when you are aware that you are angry, that means your consciousness is little higher. Instead of expressing your anger, when you can explain your anger. So there is a difference between expressing your anger and explaining your anger. When you can explain your anger, that means your consciousness is one step higher. As a child, I remember I was more afraid of my father than my mother, because my mother's behavior was very predictable. When she was angry, she would just shout, or she would beat me, or she would say something. She would get emotional. But my father, his voice would lower when he was angry. And he would say, "Son, I'm feeling very angry with you." And he would say with so much clarity that it would scare me, because here was a person who had a lot of awareness of his anger. So when you have more awareness and more control over your inner state, people, they are impressed. Because to have control over ourselves is a very, very difficult thing. So Supreme Lord is conscious of everything. We have difficulty knowing what's happening in our own system, in our own body. So just like the body has a soul, there is a soul who is directing this body. Similarly, this entire cosmos also has a soul. If you consider this entire universe also like one body, just like this body, there are many things happening inside this body. There are 30 trillion cells. So many things are happening inside this body. But there is one soul, one person who is the occupier of this body. Similarly, this entire universe can be compared to one body. And the Supreme Lord, he is the soul of this body called universe. So this body, there is one soul that is called Atma. The Supreme Lord, who is the soul of this universe, is called Para-Atma. Paramatma is the Supreme Soul. So Atma is who knows this body. Paramatma is someone who is aware of the entire universal body. So Bhagavatam is teaching us how to connect with this Paramatma. Bhagavatam is teaching us how to become friends with this person. And this person, who is the soul of the universe, is localized, customized, and is present in our body also. That is the best part of this. So even I can know myself, and then I can also know the Supreme Lord. So I can be conscious of myself, I can have awareness, and then I can become aware of the Supreme Lord who is in my heart. So that is how we connect with the Supreme Consciousness. And this entire journey begins with study of Srimad Bhagavatam. One of our main acharyas, Sanatana Goswami, says, "Madeka bandhu mat sangin, mad guru mad mahadana, mat nistaraka, mad bhagya, madananda namostute." He says, my Srimad Bhagavatam, Madeka bandhu, Srimad Bhagavatam is my best friend. Mat sangi, Bhagavatam is my associate. Mat guru, Bhagavatam is my guru. Mahadhana, Bhagavatam is my greatest wealth. Mad nistaraka, Bhagavatam is my deliverer. It delivers me from all anxieties and problems. Mad bhagya, Bhagavatam is my greatest fortune. And Madananda, Bhagavatam is the source of my greatest happiness. Namostute. I offer my respectful obeisances to Srimad Bhagavatam. So on the occasion of Bhadra Purnima, we have Rajan Padia Prabhu who will explain more about it. But we are encouraging people to take Srimad Bhagavatam, purchase Srimad Bhagavatam, keep it at home, gift it to others, read Srimad Bhagavatam, because Srimad Bhagavatam will prove to be our ultimate friend. Because Srimad Bhagavatam introduces the absolute truth with this quality. Itarataś cārtheṣv abhijñaḥ is somebody, Bhagavatam reveals to us a personality who is conscious of everything that's happening. Sometimes, people say, devotees also say, I have so many problems. Prabhuji, my biggest problem is, not that I have so many problems. My biggest problem is that nobody understands me. My wife doesn't understand me. My husband doesn't understand me. And my heart, there is so much pain. We are married for 45 years. We are married for 55 years. But still he doesn't understand me. She doesn't know my real problem. I love him so much. I love her so much. No, nobody understands me. So the truth of the matter is, in this world, nobody can understand us perfectly. Only one person can understand us perfectly. And that is Krishna. Because he is there in our heart as Paramatma. Because he is the closest. Because when we think nobody is watching me, what I am doing, Krishna is watching. Because he is there in the heart of the Supreme Lord. That is why it is said, abhijñaḥ. Abhijñaḥ means he knows everything. Many times when we are alone, secretly, we do certain things which we may not do when we are in a public place. We may do certain things which may be a sign of hypocrisy. And we may be ashamed to share that with others. And we may do certain things and we may think nobody is watching. But if this verse reveals that Krishna is watching, Krishna knows. He is the one who knows everything that's happening. So there is nothing you can hide from him. So you have to be honest. You have to be transparent. So might as well confess to him that this is who I am, my dear Lord, and please help me. Just like, right now the video camera is on. I can see you, you can see me. So just like, we can see each other when the video camera is on. Remember that in our heart, the camera is on 24 hours. The Lord is constantly watching us. The CCTV camera is on. We can't remove it. And the Lord is revealed here as Anyavad itarataś cārtheṣv abhijñaḥ. He is direct and indirectly conscious of everything that's happening. The CCTV camera is on and he's constantly looking at the camera. Sometimes we think nobody is watching what I'm doing. Once in our temple, one person came and he wanted to make a film on our temple. This is in 2003, 2002. He made a very beautiful movie called The Simple Temple. So when he stayed in the temple for 3-4 months, he stayed and he was shooting, filming everything. That was the first time we experienced somebody shooting, somebody filming a temple kind of. Nowadays, everybody has a video camera in his mobile phone. But those days, it was a very rare sight. So this devotee was getting up in the morning. And as soon as we would wake up, I would see this camera in front of me sometimes. He even came to the bathrooms, and the Mangalarti would be there in front of next to the DTs, and he would be shooting. I remember I was sitting in the Mangalarti like this, early morning, 5 o'clock, feeling sleepy, drowsy, Hare Krishna, like this. And then suddenly I saw him with the camera. And as soon as I saw the camera, that means I saw that somebody is seeing me. And I was till that point of time, I was like this. But as soon as I saw the camera, I became Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So I became conscious because I knew that somebody was conscious of me. So if we remember this point that the camera inside is on and Krishna is constantly watching me, if I remember this point, then my actions will always be congruent. My inside, outside will be same. I will not lead a duplicitous life. I will be congruent, I will be honest, I will be authentic, I will be one. There will be uniformity. Therefore, Bhagavatam is revealing to us that the Lord knows everything. We may hide, we may fool a lot of people in the world. We may hide many of our bad qualities. We may present ourselves as more advanced than what we actually are. But there is one person we can never fool. That is the Lord in our heart. And that is why the Bhagavatam is revealing to us that he knows everything. And therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam is inviting us to connect with this person and develop a relationship with him. And is also called as svarāṭ in the same verse. Svarāṭ means he is completely independent. He is not dependent on us. See, this is a very important point, the word svarāṭ. God is defined in Srimad Bhagavatam as somebody who is independent of all of us. If you consider any religion, the Semitic religions, especially Judaism, Christianity, Islam, God is always presented as someone in relationship with us. God exists. If you see who is God, they'll say God is somebody who supplies us our daily bread. God is somebody who will take care of my problems. God is somebody who loves me. God is somebody who takes care of my family. God is somebody who gives me blessings. So God is always defined in relationship with me. That is how all religions present God. But Srimad Bhagavatam introduces us to the personality of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Absolute Truth God, as someone who exists independent of me. He is svarāṭ. He is Supreme God, not because he supplies me daily bread. Whether I exist or not, my cause is insignificant and irrelevant. He is the supreme enjoyer. People will say, oh, God has an existence other than me. We can't conceive of a reality which is not in my world. If anything is important, if anything has value, it has to be in relationship with me. Therefore, we find the idea of God as presented in the Vedic Sanatana Dharma a little foreign, because we are used to so much of being full of ourselves. We are unable to appreciate a reality beyond me. But Bhagavatam presents God as someone who will perform his dance with his friends, who will have a Rasalila, who will perform beautiful pastimes in Vrindavan, independent of you and me, who are struggling in Mumbai. He says, so what? You have your problem, so that's your problem. I can't stop having parties just because you are fed up with your life. That is Bhagavatam's idea of God. Whereas in Christianity, Islam, and most of the other religions, they cannot conceive of God independent of them. That is where God is defined in Bhagavatam as svarāṭ. If God is only defined in terms of my existence, then I'm limiting God. This is very important. Sometimes people say, Prabhuji, but how can God do so many amazing things? I can't understand. So immediately we have to know that we have to understand that we cannot understand God completely. If we can understand and figure out God completely, then our intelligence is greater than God. God, by definition, has to be someone who is beyond my tiny intelligence. And that is the meaning of svarāṭ. And that is why the Bhagavatam says in the second line, tene brahma hṛdā ādi-kavaye muhyanti sūrayaḥ. He is the one who imparted the knowledge to the heart of Brahmaji. He is the one who revealed the spiritual knowledge. Like our bodies are made of earth, water, fire, air, ether, matter. But earth is a primary element, but Brahma is someone whose body is made of intelligence. There is a difference. We have a little bit of intelligence, which we rarely use. But our body is made of earth. Brahmaji is someone whose body is made of intelligence. And he cannot understand God completely. And that's why it's defined in the next line as muhyanti sūrayaḥ. The greatest devatas are bewildered by the Supreme Lord. Brahmaji got bewildered, Indra got bewildered, Lord Shiva got bewildered and confused. Krishna can create illusions. How? Tejo-vāri-mṛdāṁ, yathā vinimayo, yatra. Just like sometimes we see a mirage, we see on the desert, there is sand, but we see water. Similarly, we see reality in this world when actually there is no reality existing. And where does this God, this Supreme Absolute Truth reside? Dhamna svena sada nirasta-kuhakaṁ. He stays in his own transcendental abode, which is eternally existing. So he is the Supreme Absolute Truth. And this is the way he is introduced in the very first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Because, if you are going to read Srimad Bhagavatam, you need to know, well, this scripture I'm going to read, this book is about whom? This book is about Krishna, Vasudeva. Well, can you please introduce me to him? Well, this is his introduction. The first verse of the Bhagavatam is an introduction to the Supreme Absolute Truth, about whom we are going to be hearing and reading for the rest of the 17,999 verses. Srimad Bhagavatam is introducing us to the Supreme Absolute Truth, Krishna, who is beautifully, summary description of whom has been given in the first verse. And today we discussed these remaining qualities of the Supreme Absolute Truth, that he is the one who directly and indirectly conscious of everything that's happening. And to the extent we are conscious of the Supreme Lord in our heart, who is conscious of everything, our actions will be congruent with who we really are. And when we lead a life which is inside outside, same, when we lead an authentic, congruent life, the happiness that we experience will be far greater than all the name, fame, money, possessions, and positions that we acquire in this world. And the proof is, you will see, children are generally much more happier than grown-up people, because children live in the present. Children are not expert in having a duplicitous life. Children are inside, outside, most of the time same. And because of this quality, they are able to celebrate life. They are able to live life more happily. So if we want to retain that innocence and purity of a child within us, then we also need to become congruent inside, outside. And the best way to become congruent, the best way to become one with who we truly are, is by recognizing the Supreme Lord in our heart. And when we recognize his existence, when we recognize that he is watching everything, then we also become conscious and our awareness increases. Srila Prabhupada once gave an example. He was walking with his son in the streets of Kolkata, and his son said, "Papa, look above." They saw the moon. So he said, "What is this?" So Srila Prabhupada told his son that this is the moon. So he said, "Oh, the moon is traveling with us wherever we go." So Prabhupada said, "Yes." So after some time, they were walking for a long time. Wherever they went, the child kept looking at the moon and said, "The moon is always with us. He never leaves us." And then Srila Prabhupada said, "That time I told my son that just like the moon is always with us, wherever we go, the moon is following us. So I told my son that similarly, the Lord is abhijñaḥ. He is there in our heart. He can see everything and he follows us all the time. The moon is traveling with you only at night. Daytime, the moon is not there. But Krishna as Paramatma is there both daytime and nighttime, 24 hours. So therefore, Krishna consciousness, our entire movement is based on being aware and being conscious of this personality who resides in our heart. And when we are aware and conscious of this personality, we will be very careful and we will be conscientious in our actions. We will be careful to a fault. We will be kind. We will be authentic. And we will be Krishna conscious. So this is the main message of this first verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, one of the very important points that I wanted to explain today is that this first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam is also revealing to us the importance of Krishna and also the importance of studying Srimad Bhagavatam. So if we have the copy of Srimad Bhagavatam, like this, there are 12 cantos. This is the first canto. There are 18 books like this covering 12 cantos of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And if you have a set in your house, you can pick up any day, any chapter, any verse and read the commentary. And you feel you are directly connecting with Krishna. Because Lord Krishna, he appears in Kali Yuga in the form of a scripture. See, when God appears in the form of a fish, he is called as Matsya Avatar. When God appears in the form of a wild boar, he is called as Varaha. When God appears as a half man and half lion incarnation, he is called as Narasimha. And when God appears in the form of a book, he is called as Srimad Bhagavatam. So he is the same Lord who has come in the form of a scripture. So when I'm reading Bhagavatam, it is just like I'm talking to you. I can see Rajan Padya is sitting in front of me. So I'm talking with you and you're listening to me, then you're going to talk, I'm going to listen. So just imagine instead of Rajan Padya, it is Srimad Bhagavatam. So when I'm reading Bhagavatam, it is like Krishna sitting in front of me. So when I'm reading Bhagavatam, it's like Krishna talking to me and I'm listening. So we urge everyone to have this set of Srimad Bhagavatam with them. Because this Srimad Bhagavatam will ensure that Krishna is in my house. And when you open the book, you are ensuring that you are talking with Krishna. And when you follow what is revealed to you in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is like making a promise and fulfilling a promise to your lover? How will your relationship with your loved one improve? When you make a commitment and when you keep that commitment. The Srimad Bhagavatam is also called a Paurushaya. Srimad Bhagavatam is a scripture which is not given by human beings. It is divine knowledge. If we want to access higher powers, if we want to access higher knowledge, then we need to consider the possibility that there is something greater than my intelligence. And when I humbly receive that, I can access those powers. I'll give a simple example. Now I am saying this Hare Krishna devotee, so you may be a little skeptical. But I know some of the top management gurus of the world, some of the most successful self-help motivational speakers, they vouch for scriptures. The greatest management guru of the 21st century, his name is Stephen Covey. He is regarded as the greatest management guru. He wrote a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He is very famous. And he writes in his books always about the principle of conscience. He says, human beings have this conscience, inner compass. And if you are directed by our conscience, we will be able to achieve great heights. So when you read his books, you may get a question, how do I listen to my conscience? How can I be driven by my conscience? How can I hear the voice of my conscience? And the solution he gives is, believe it or not, he is not a Hare Krishna devotee. He is an American management guru staying in Utah, in a God-forsaken place in America. It's far out place. And he writes very emphatically that conscience is developed when we submissively, prayerfully read or hear scriptures. So when I read that, I was shocked. I thought, oh, maybe this guy doesn't know what is scriptures. Maybe he's referring to some mundane magazines as scriptures. Because each one of us could define, your definition of scripture could be different from my definition. Like pizza. A Gujarati defines pizza as something else, and an American defines pizza as something else. So Indians want tomato ketchup on top of it, but an American would say, oh, no tomato ketchup, olives, you put olive oil, you put all these different things. So we have our own idea of what is a pizza. So I thought maybe when he's saying scriptures, he is referring to some ordinary book. But then I went to the appendix and I said, let me understand what he means by scriptures. And I was more shocked to see that he is very clear. When he says scriptures, he means Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Ramayana, Mahabharata. But then I realized, oh, he's in the right place. He knows what he's speaking. And his logic is that when we read scriptures, or what we're basically doing is we are connecting to wisdom of a timeless space. We are connecting to wisdom that is coming down for millennia. That means this wisdom is extremely powerful. It is eternal, and it is speaking about a language. It is speaking about some system, some philosophy, some plane of existence, which is far beyond human comprehension. So when we connect to that, we are accessing those higher powers. And that helps to guide our conscience. If I am only trying to understand what I need to do in my life, then I'm using my mind and my intelligence. So with my mind and my intelligence, how can I figure out my own solutions? I need to be guided by a power beyond my own. So Bhagavatam will connect us to that power, which is beyond my power. See, let us accept one thing today, that there are forces beyond us. Even if you don't believe in Krishna, even if you don't accept God, fine. You have to accept that there are forces, there is an intelligence superior to us. Otherwise, how will you explain the amazing order, design in this universe? How will you explain amazing laws that exist consistently, helping everything happen smoothly? The seasons change on time. The planets move in a certain orbit. Everything is happening perfect. If one of these laws were not functioning properly, life couldn't exist on planet Earth. How can everything be so smooth? How can everything be perfect? That means there is some intelligence beyond all of us. There is something which we cannot fathom. I'll give a simple example. Have you heard of a butterfly called monarch butterfly? Monarch butterfly is one of the special types of butterflies. It flies from North America to Mexico or Southern California. And after 6 months, it comes back to the same branch of the same tree from where it began its journey 6 months ago. And the best part is, when the journey begins, the monarch butterfly on the way meets a partner, starts a family, gives birth to children, and continues the journey and dies on the way. And the child continues the journey, and the child also becomes big butterfly, papa butterfly, then the mummy butterfly, then they have their children, and then they continue the journey. After 6 months, when they come back, believe it or not, the 7th generation butterfly, monarch butterfly, comes back to the same branch of the same tree from where his ancestor had left and had embarked on the journey 6 months ago. Now, my question to all of you is, who is guiding this butterfly? How did this butterfly know that he has to come back to that same place? What kind of intelligence are we talking about? What kind of wisdom? What kind of power exists? What is this cosmos? What are these laws? You know, I went to this farm village, Govardhan Eco village once, and all the cows were in one place, and the calves had come back from grazing, and the calf ran directly to his mother for milk. The calf, there were 100 cows there, but that calf knew where to go. How did that calf know? Who is directing that calf? Because tene, brahma, hṛdā, ādi-kavaye. The Paramatma is there in the heart of that calf also. The Paramatma, the Lord, is directing that monarch butterfly also. And that same good Lord is directing all of us as well. So Bhagavatam is helping us. When we read Bhagavatam submissively, we are getting connected to this Lord who is directing an insignificant ant in your room, to a huge elephant in the jungles of Africa, to the butterflies, and to a human being. All of us are being directed by this amazing intelligence, which people call by different names. Some people call this as universal intelligence. Some people call this as force. Some people call this as Paramatma. Some people call it as the supreme consciousness. You may call it by whatever name you want, but we know in our tradition, this force, this energy is called Krishna or Vasudeva, who is being introduced to us in this first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, which we have begun reading from last week. So if we connect with Srimad Bhagavatam, if we have a culture of reading every day for a few minutes, one paragraph, then reflecting on it, then we connect to this Lord, and then He will guide us. See, right now, our life is, we are being guided by our mind. Wherever our mind takes us, we go. Sometimes we feel sad, sometimes we feel angry. You know, the mind makes us do different things. We are like a puppet in the hands of the mind. This is the lowest stage. The middle stage is when we take charge of our mind and we control the mind, and we decide, okay, now I'm not going to get angry. Now I'm going to do this. I'm going to choose my feelings. That's when I'm in charge of my mind. So mind is no longer the puppeteer. Initially, the mind is the one who is controlling me and I'm dancing like a puppet. But now I take charge of my mind and I make the mind do what I want it to do. That is the second stage. But if we read Bhagavatam daily, we'll come to the third stage, which is very much similar to the first stage. What is the first stage? When the mind drags us and we are like a puppet. Second stage, when I take charge of my mind. But in the third stage, I'm once again a puppet. But I'm not being controlled by the mind, but I'm being controlled by God. I'm being controlled by a superior force. So So at the lowest stage, I am helpless. I'm just being guided by wherever my mind takes me. But in the highest stage, I am being guided by the higher force, whom we call Krishna. Krishna guides me everywhere, and I simply do what the universe wants me to do. Like if you have read the book Journey Home, it is the diary of a young traveling seeker, Richard Slavian from Chicago, who is very well known today as His Holiness Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj. So Radhanath Swami Maharaj writes about his journey, how as a young teenager, he placed his life in the hands of the divine to whom he had not yet been introduced. But he knew that there is a higher force. He knew that there is a higher intelligence. And he placed his fragile life in the hands of this benevolent Lord. And he was guided beautifully. So when we place our lives in the hands of God and agree to be an instrument of His will, then we can achieve far more dramatic success and happiness than what we can envisage in our present state. But we can't go there artificially. Right now we are controlled by the mind. So we read Bhagavatam prayerfully and slowly, and we come to the second stage where we take charge of our lives, we take charge of our mind. And as we continue reading Srimad Bhagavatam, we will soon come to the third stage where the mind is no longer important. The mind doesn't matter, because our lives will be placed in the hands of Krishna. And we will do where the Lord takes us. We will be guided by the Lord. And therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam is extremely important, because Srimad Bhagavatam will refine our conscience. It will help us evolve. It will help us grow. And it will help us connect with Krishna. Just like a child, if the child is walking alone in the street, the child slips, the child will cry. The child always has this fear. The child always has this anxiety. But if the child is holding the mother's hand and walking, the child is fearless and happy. So when we read Bhagavatam daily, we will suddenly experience this shift in our consciousness. We will realize in retrospect that my life hitherto had been a life where I was alone and lost. But when we read Srimad Bhagavatam daily or regularly, we will suddenly feel I'm holding the hand of my mother. We will feel safe. Srimad Bhagavatam will reveal to us our home state. It will reveal to us a state of existence where I feel safe, where I feel a sense of belonging with the universe, where I feel loved, where I feel I'm part of something bigger than me. The best way you can overcome your problems is live a life beyond your problems. Understand that there is a world beyond me. And that beautiful world is called the world of Bhagavatam, the world of Krishna. So we invite all of you to study Srimad Bhagavatam consistently and regularly. And in this auspicious month of Shravan, as we are nearing the date of Purnima, we request you to take this Srimad Bhagavatam set from Rajan Padia Prabhu. If Rajan Prabhu would like to speak something for a few minutes, and then we can have any questions if there are regarding today's class. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. By opening the idea about Bhagavatam, many people are still not aware the difference between Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. Very nice. We are very fortunate that you have so nicely explained us what is Bhagavatam, what is the importance of Bhagavatam, and how Bhagavatam is Krishna himself. How Bhagavatam is Krishna himself. That is what we have learned. Krishna is present in two forms. One is Srimad Bhagavatam and other is his name. So we can take advantage. This Bhadra Purnima, I have sent a message, a picture where the temple has arranged that a Bhagavatam set in different languages at a concessional price. And there are two things that we can avail of is, one is that you can attend the Zoom online yajna, and the other is there's some of the brahmacharis who will personally come to our house and recite prayers by Kunti Maharani, Dhruva, Prahlad and Gajendra. So it may be a program of maybe 35, 40 minutes or 45 minutes. and brahmacharis will personally come and they'll recite. So we can definitely take advantage of this Bhadra Purnima and bring Krishna at our houses, as Prabhuji has so nicely mentioned, that we can bring Krishna and we can personally talk with him. We can personally converse with Krishna in a very nice way. So we encourage everyone, and there are two things: either we can keep it at our house or we can donate. Or if we already have it at our house, we can give it to someone who can get the benefit of Bhagavatam. So it is anyone can avail of this facility. This, as I mentioned about the brahmachari, this is between 7th and 30th of September. Like this, we can have this brahmachari coming to our house between 7th and 30th of September. Bhadra Purnima is on 20th of September, and this is between 7th and 30th of September. We can avail of this facility. So I encourage everyone, and I can tell you that we are having one in our house already, and we are inviting one more Bhagavatam in our house. So I'm not trying to show off, but what I mean to say is yes, we can avail this fantastic opportunity. We can opt for any language, whichever we want. I have put it on the group. We can select any language also. So thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for opening up so many things about Bhagavatam and actually knowing what Bhagavatam is. And I really felt so nice when you said Krishna. We can directly converse with Krishna. Whenever we open the Bhagavatam, we can actually converse with Krishna. So very, very nice opportunity. So I would encourage everyone to avail of this facility. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments or questions regarding today's discussion? We can have 5 minutes for question and answers.
Prabhuji, if nobody is asking, I'll ask. You mentioned, Prabhuji, how the other religions have an idea that God is not independent. Something like that I heard. Can you please elaborate, Prabhuji, because I did not actually understand it.
I said people, when they talk about God, they talk about God in relationship with themselves.
Okay.
That means for most people, God doesn't have an existence other than they themselves. Like God is, what is God doing? God is solving my problem. God is solving my brother's problem. God is solving my friend's problem. God is helping me so much. God is doing so much for me, my mother, my father, my brothers, my cousins, my friends, my school, my country. God is so nice. God is so kind. So if you notice what is happening in this kind of presentation of God, is that we are presenting God as someone who is only busy solving my problems. And if he is not busy solving my problems, what the hell is he doing? I mean, he can't be doing anything else. He just is meant for me. He's my order supplier. He has to do what I need needs to be done. But Srimad Bhagavatam presents God as someone that he is not our order supplier. We are his order suppliers. Whatever he orders us, we want to do. It's different. It's a different paradigm. God is not it's not like we are not presenting God as someone who just, I order him and he supplies it. So there is a difference in the way we approach God compared to other religions, is because there are 4 ways we can connect with God. Bhaya buddhi, asha buddhi, kartavya buddhi, and prema. There are 4 different levels. So, just like a child obeys the parents because the first level is bhaya, fear. The child is afraid that my father will punish me, so the child follows the father. So many religions present God as someone who has to be feared, because if I don't follow God, he's going to punish me. So fear is a motivation for following God in many religions. There are some paths which say, okay, you may not be afraid of God, but you please follow what God says, because God will give you so many things. Right. He will give you a place in heaven. He will give you 72 virgins in the heaven, or he will give you a paradise. He will give you this. He will give you, so many lifetimes of punya. So reward. A child may obey the father not out of fear, but what if my father will give me a lollipop? My father will give me this chocolate. So reward is a motivation. to follow God. In some religions, fear is the motivation. In some paths, it is reward. And in some paths, it is kartavya or duty. Oh, God is doing so much for me. So it's providing us light, air, water. So it is my duty to serve him. Just like a child may obey the parents, the child may serve the parents not out of fear or a desire for reward, but he feels if I should do this because my parents love me, it is my duty to serve my parents. So duty is also a motivation. But Srimad Bhagavatam presents God, a relationship with God at the fourth level, which is a child is serving the parents not because he's afraid of them, not because he wants a reward, nor is he doing it because of a sense of duty. He is serving his parents because he is motivated by love, prema. So when we serve God, not out of fear or because we want something from him or because we have a sense of duty, but we serve him because I have love, because I love God, that is the highest understanding of God. And love means I expect nothing from the Lord and I want to only give myself to the Lord. That is the highest definition of love. And Srimad Bhagavatam is revealing to us a relationship with God at this level, which is like the summum bonum of a relationship with God. That is why Kunti Devi in her prayer, she's telling the Lord that, my dear Lord, please give me more troubles. Because when I have more troubles, I can remember you with a lot of love. Generally, we go to God telling him that, please reduce my troubles. So here is we can't imitate this prayer. I'm not saying we should also pray like Kunti. We should not. We can't be artificial. What I'm trying to say is, Bhagavatam is revealing to us the level at which people have practiced devotional service. So this is like, we are getting access to the best manual on loving God. And wherever, at whatever level we are, we can connect with God. We may be at the level of fear, motivation for reward or duty. Wherever we are, we could begin our journey upwards. It's possible. So that's the difference between our approach to God and the Semitic religions. Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So it's 8:52. We can stop now, Prabhu. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, even I have the set. I have the whole set. And when I got it, I was a little reluctant to get it that time because of space. But it was during my last stage of my husband's life. It was the book marathon month. He asked me again for 3 continuous years in the December month. He used to tell me, let's get this Bhagavatam set. So I told him, where will he keep it? I mean, it's a volume of 12 books.
18.
He said, no, we'll make place for it. I kept on postponing it. And it was in the last days of his life. He asked me again. That time I called up Srinimai Prabhu. He was my Shiksha Guru for Bhakti Shastri. So he said, Mataji, it's his last wish. Please get it for him. Bhagavatam will make place for itself. So I got it. And I'm very glad I got it. And I've read all of them. Thanks to Nityanand Prabhuji. And I'm getting another set now. Like the brahmacharis will come to do kirtan in my house. That's it.
Thank you for sharing this beautiful thought, beautiful realization. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
You said one point that you should daily keep a practice of reading Bhagavatam. Maybe it is one stanza or one. Now, I want to ask you, I do read Bhagavad Gita. I do read one more book, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, I know this question is very silly, but if you can put light. So, when we read book, spiritual book, so how much, if I include Bhagavatam also, so how much to read and how much we can get it? I am busy, we are busy in the other work also. work, official work and all. So if you can tell me how we can include everything in day-to-day life, so that will be of great help.
We have so many important things to do. Yeah. So maybe, as Sri Prabhu told Mataji that, get Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam will find a place for itself in your house. Similarly, you begin with reading one sentence or 2 minutes or 3 minutes. Just read one paragraph. It doesn't take much time. And even if you can't read every day, at least once in a few days, begin somewhere, some connection with Krishna. Exactly how you can do it, I'm not aware, because your situation is unique. You are the one who knows your life best, your job, your family, your relationships. So you take a call on how much you can afford to spend time. Maybe you can afford to spend 5 minutes, maybe 1 hour, I don't know. So take it slow, but consistency is what is more important. I'm not looking at quantity. I'm not looking at you reading 10 pages every day or 5 pages. Even if you do something small, but do it consistently. Just like when you take medicines, the medicines are effective when we take them regularly. We can't be just, today I feel like taking the medicine. Today I don't feel like taking the medicine. It's not like that. Srimad Bhagavatam is called as Bhava. Not only a medicine, it is also a very sweet medicine. Generally in Ayurveda, medicines are not sweet. But this medicine is called as something which is medicinal and also very sweet to the ears and the senses. So take it according to your capacity, according to the resources, limitations you have, but keep it consistent.
Prabhuji, I told my husband another one more thing. Like we can read it online. So why do we need the physical book? He said, no, it's not the same thing.
Yeah. It's like you write you send a WhatsApp message to your lover or send an email to your lover and send, when you read a love letter from your beloved on electronic message, and when you actually read it on paper, on a card with handwritten, there's a lot of difference between the two.
Yes.
So how much ever we make electronic advancement, technology has its advantages, but ultimately the print and paper has its own charm. Okay, so we'll stop now. Thank you very much for your attention and participation. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Hare.